Cool. So we're almost live. And if y'all just coming in, comment your favorite plant in the chat or what plant you would like to become. And what is your experience freelancing? Cool. So we are live. Welcome. We're so excited to be here with Oral today, one of our wonderful mentors and design buddies, along with our friendly moderators from our events team, V and Harsha. And before we start, I'm going to share a couple of slides for design buddies and a couple of house rules. Even though I see a lot of familiar faces, we always do this before every Design Buddies events, but I'm sure y'all probably seen this before, but Design Buddies is a large community. We have a lot of resources and we're trying to incorporate a lot more topics such as freelancing, graphic design, brand design, UX design, have a lot of great resources for y'all to engage in. And yeah, talks like this too. And just for some house rules, events are recorded, and by attending, you grant consent. If you don't wish to be part of any of the recording, you can turn off your camera or watch us on YouTube, which is just Design Buddies. Feel free to engage via chat. If Oral says something you really resonate with, feel free to just comment in chat. It's there for you to also connect with each other, but also please make sure to keep all links and all of any promotional links that you have in our networking sheet. And really encourage all our buddies to just connect with each other. You can even send each other a personalized invite on LinkedIn saying y'all met at this event. And for Q&A, we'll do Zoom afterwards as well, so there won't be a Slido link, but for today, we'll do Oral's presentation and then a group selfie in the Q&A. So that's where the group selfie will come in, so you're welcome to get prepared your Zoom background. If you want to use a Design Buddy Zoom background, and we always like to encourage our buddies to share takeaways on social media, tag Oral, tag Design Buddies. We share stuff on Twitter and Instagram on Design Buddies platform, comment on LinkedIn, so you're welcome to do so. Definitely feel free to hop in our Discord, we have a freelancing channel as well that recently opened, so you're all welcome to connect with other freelancers. We have people who are full-time freelancers, people who do it on the side, so all sorts of experiences here. And yeah, just have fun, be respectful, and thank you. With that, I'll pass it on to Orwell.
Hello, everyone. Give me a minute. Welcome to Marketing for Freelancers. I'm Orwell. I am a branding designer. I'm based in Berlin, and I mentor freelancers, so creatives who are behind me on the journey, and help them improve how they work, how they look at their business, how they think about themselves as a freelancer, as a business owner, to help them, create a business that actually gives them the life they want. So one step to do that is to actually have the money that you need to survive, and then to grow your business and have the things that you want in life. So my work is focused on happiness and actually giving people what it is that they want to make them happy. But what that takes is having a business that actually does that for you. So let's chat about some marketing. So I have a #1 tip that is going to make any of your marketing strategies successful, but you're going to have to wait for the end for it. It's a teaser. So marketing is, at its very core, informing people about how you can make their life better, or how you can make their life easier, how the things that you do can help them solve a problem that they have and make things better for them. So when you're doing it, what you have to be telling them is things like why you're the right person to fix their problems, and how you fix their problems, and then what life is going to be like once the problem is fixed. One of the issues that we face is that people don't want to spend money. They earn their money, and if you're from the majority of society, we're taught that money is something that you need to save, and you need to scrimp, and you need to not be spending a lot of it. You need to watch out for people that ask for it because they're trying to take advantage of you. But we know that's not the case. We are trying to help people make positive buying decisions. So if we have a service or a product that we know helps people in very different ways, then informing someone about how they can buy it and how it helps them is actually just helping them make a decision that's going to help themselves. So we're not here to be the hard sellers, the kind of folk that are really slimy, that make us all feel a bit weird. We're just trying to inform people and help them make a decision that can help themselves. This is the formula for change, and it's the only bit of maths that I'm going to show you, but it's not actually maths. So dV plus F needs to be greater than R. So dissatisfaction times vision plus the first steps that somebody needs to take needs to be greater than the resistance to changing the position they're in. So what this means is if somebody is dissatisfied with their situation, but doesn't have an idea of what the future might be, or doesn't know a step to make in order to change their situation, then they're not actually going to make that step. They're not going to make a purchase. They're not going to, you're not going to overcome their resistance. Or if someone knows what the future might be, but isn't dissatisfied with their situation right now, then equally, you're not going to overcome their resistance to buy. So what I'm going to do is show you different ways that we can look at this, like show people their dissatisfaction without being, mean and nasty about it. We're not here to make people feel bad about themselves. We're more trying to focus on the vision part and help them understand that the future can be better, if they buy our freelance services. So where should you focus? There are two ways that we can do this. One is through lead generation. So that's looking at growth. And this is what people think of when they think of marketing. You're getting lots of people to come and try and buy from you so you can sell to them, you can make some money, and you can deliver whatever it is that you deliver. The often overlooked part of this is the repeat business. So looking at the people that you already work with, people that have already bought from you, and basically selling them more stuff, finding different ways that you can help them, different ways that you can improve their situation so that they'll continue to buy from you. When someone's going to buy from you, they need to know who you are, they need to like you, and they need to trust that you're going to do the thing that you say you're going to do. So if you're trying to generate new leads, then you're having to convince a new person or a new set of people of all these things to know you, to like you, to trust you. Whereas if you've worked with somebody before and they've had a positive experience, then they already know who you are, they already like you, they know that you can do the job, so they're easier to buy from. So we're going to look at a bit of both. These are the 5 ways to increase your profits. These things, if you know them within your business, then you can easily see where you should focus your experience, where you should focus your energies, so that you can decide where it is that you should be focusing your marketing. So as I say, rather than just lead generation is increasing your inquiries, but the others can all be focused on, well, apart from conversion rate, could be focused on your repeat business. So increasing inquiries, we all know about that. Improving your conversion rate is about, if you've got 100 people coming through the door or trying to work with you, only 20 of them become clients, then you're missing out on 80. And if you can improve that 20 and turn that into 25, then all of a sudden you're making more money without actually having to do any more extra marketing. So rather than seeing this as a fault of your marketing, you could spend your marketing energies on, well, how do I make sure these people that are interested actually turn into clients? Then, as I've said, with getting repeat business, if you increase the number of sales per customer, then you're going to increase the amount of money that you make. And if you increase your average sale value, so this would be around stuff like improving the value of your service, delivering more for a little bit more money, like these kinds of things. And then profit margin. We're not going to look at this one today because this is more about reducing your costs or increasing your prices, and that's not what we're talking about. I have a tool that I'm going to link you to later, which you can play with for your own businesses, where you can stick in these numbers and it'll actually work out your average profit margin. And then you can have a play around with it yourself and see, okay, well, if I increase my conversion rate, oh, I make this much. If I have 3 sales a month from a customer rather than 2 sales a month, then you can like see how much you're going to make. And that'll open your eyes up, I think. So this is looking at where you should spend your time. So this is a Venn diagram, as you can tell. And there's a small overlap of the things that you're good at, the things that you'll enjoy, and the things that you can get paid for. Depending on what it is that you do and the skills that you have, this overlap is going to be a bit bigger. But this is basically where when I speak to my clients, this is where we try and focus. Because if you're good at it, you can get paid for it and you enjoy it. Is that not the dream? Why would we want to get paid for something that we hate? You know, unless we're getting paid a lot. But even then, like, I'd rather enjoy life and get paid not a lot than hate life and get paid lots. Maybe that's just me. This is another Venn diagram. So this is focusing on your customer or your client. So it's things that they need, problems you can fix, and the things that they will pay for to be fixed. So there's lots of things that you can do that you're not necessarily going to get paid for. So on Monday, I had a client, I'd made a Word template for a client, and it was a Word template for a letterhead. And they had decided to print this in Office, which immediately I was a bit like, cool, fine, yeah, sure, just whatever. And then they had said that they couldn't fit it all onto the page. So they contacted me and asked me, could I change the template so that all the template fitted onto the printed page? I had to email them back and explain to them how their print dialog box works and how they should find the bit that says scale and use fit page, and then they'd be able to print it all. So this is something I can do, explain to people how to use their printer, but they're not going to pay me for it. So, you know, there's this small little overlap bit of the things that they actually need that they're going to pay for. And then there's lots of things that they need that they're just not going to pay for. So we want to find the bit that fits right in the middle, where they're going to pay for it, they need it, and we can fix the problem. If we take the two of them, I mean, the thing's pretty beautiful, but it's also a mess. But that gap gets even smaller. So if we take those two things, the things that the client needs, things they're going to pay for, the problems that we can fix, the things that we want to do, the things that we're good at, and the things that we can get paid for, that gap becomes quite tiny, quite small. But this is niching. So I hate when people come on and talk about niching, because often what they do is just pick something and go with it. Yeah, it's great, whatever. No, they're talking a load of nonsense. Like, there is a way you can do this, and it's working through what I've just shown you. So what is it you're good at? What is it you enjoy? What can you get paid for? Start with yourself. Like, this is your life, right? And then look at your clients and say, well, what kind of people need the thing that I'm good at and I can get paid for and that I enjoy? Okay, well, what's the problem that they have? What is it that they need? And yeah, how much can I then charge them for it? So if you do this and take these things, then you're going to find something that you enjoy that other people will pay you for. And then you can focus on those folk. Those are the ones that will really help you with your marketing. Because once you understand who these people are, the problem that they're having, then we can start to market to them really well. So why should they give a hoot? And this is the Safer Design Buddies version. This is something that people often miss. So why should people actually care? This is about looking at your value. And your value is not your price, but what people actually care about from your service. So I'm a branding designer. People don't care that I can give them pretty pictures that are going to show off their business. What they care about is creating that consistency and giving them the professional look that's going to communicate with their audience. What they're looking for is a result, and the result is that they've got a lasting image that can help them make them money over time. One I often use with clients is about people who have a wedding venue. Wedding venues, they're not selling rooms, they're selling a place where people can have the happiest day of their life. So if you're in a castle, it's a day where someone can wake up and they've waken up in a castle and they can feel like they're that person that has the lives in a castle. They're selling that feeling, that experience. So as us as designers, what is it that we're actually selling? We're not selling UX, UI. We're selling somebody not even noticing how the site works and just getting the stuff at their fingertips. We're doing all the background work so that somebody doesn't even notice how hard we worked on it. So if you can find why they give a hoot, then that will help you understand your audience. And if you really need a technique for this, be it like a date. People often, when they come to do their own marketing, they don't think of marketing that's out in the world. All they do is they think of themselves. I want to say this, I want to do that, I want to whatever. If you think of a first date that you go on, if all you do is talk about yourself, you are not getting a second date. If all you do is talk about like the previous dates that you've been on, you're not getting that second date. You have to try and understand the person at the other side of the table. You've got to try and understand, in this instance, your potential audience, your client, what it is that they're about, who they are, what they think about, where they spend their time, the things that actually matter to them, so that you can speak to them on their level. So treat your audience like you're dating them, except, maybe don't try to. I think that could potentially go well. Just do it as an exercise, but then, treat it like a business the rest of the time. This is something that really, really gets under my skin. Strategy and tactics are two different things. Tactics are used to deliver on a strategy. If you're following people online and they're telling you, in order to grow your Instagram, you must do this, you must do that, you must do whatever. My best advice is to stop following these people. Not only are they getting in the way of you actually focusing on your own strategy and how you'd want to do things, like getting this constant input makes you believe that you don't know what you're talking about. But also, they're giving you tactics. If you don't have the strategy in place, then the tactics aren't going to get you where you want to go. If you haven't laid out your strategy, like your goals, what you're trying to achieve, who it is your audience is, these kinds of things, then you're not going to get to where you want to go if you don't know where you're going. So the stuff that you're bombarded with daily, all of this stuff is tactics, and they're fine. They're amazing to know, but they're not the be all and end all, and they are most certainly not strategy. Because right now, I'm going to show you what strategy is. Yay! Won't that be fun? The first section was all giving you a bit of context for what we're going to do next. And now we're going to just go through like a series of steps that will help you just lay out a strategy and then decide on the tactics you want to use to deliver that strategy. Give me a second. So you are a freelancer, yes, but as a freelancer, you're also a business, and it's good to think of yourself that way. Businesses have goals, and goals need strategy to be delivered. And each strategy can deliver, one goal can have multiple different strategies to try and get you there. You don't have to be stuck to one. You can have some that you give more time to, some that you give less time to, but it's a good idea to have a bit of variety so that if one doesn't succeed, others will. The first thing we're going to look at, the first thing we're actually going to look at is your goals, but I'm going to suggest that you guys know how to set goals. Like your design buddies folks, you're here, you're committed to actually doing the kind of events and stuff that, push you in a direction you want to go in. So I'm going to assume you know how to set goals. If you don't, then stick a message in the chat and we can chat about that at the end. So we're going to look at your audience. So demographics are a really good base, but they're not the whole thing. So when we're saying who are they, yes, we want to know stuff like age, like location, I don't know, hair color, what car they drive, what job they do, the finance bracket. But what we're actually after is what kind of problems do they have? How do they approach the solutions to their problems? Like what kind of people do they want to interact with? Because then if you know this kind of stuff, you can try and interact with them better. So I have a client who is a personal trainer, and he works with elite level athletes. And his business is, so the kind of people that are coming to him are looking for like slight percentage changes. So if he was to do a video around something like how to do a squat, it's not about how to do the perfect squat or how to do the squat at the start, like teaching you the basics of it. It's how to improve it, how to get those slight little changes that are going to affect the muscles that you want to affect, improve your strength in your way you want to improve it. So he does similar things to what a weight loss PT would do, or like a general fitness PT would do, but it's like slightly different. Just the language is different because he's speaking at a different level, And the way they approached it is slightly different because of the things that these people want from it. So yeah, he could have his demographics of people in this kind of age range, in this kind of location, in this kind of income bracket, but actually what he needed to understand and what we worked through together was like, what kind of mindset are they in? Like, how are they thinking about their training? What is it that they're wanting to do? So as I say, the who are they needs to go beyond just the basic demographics. That also then feeds into the what do they want? What do they care about? So what's the thing that they actually, so as if we go back to the wedding venue, yeah, they want a place where they can get married, but what is it they're actually after from it? They want it to be luxury. They want a champagne package. They want, the kind of stuff. What do they actually want in their mind? And you can know that because they're your audience. How do they interact? So this starts to look at your channels. So where would you actually market to them? So this isn't just which social channels are they on, but also what kind of newspapers do they read? What kind of networking things do they go to? Where do they socialize? What do they look at when they're sat on the toilet? The kind of things that think beyond the basics, because thinking beyond the basics in this kind of area is what gets you that slightly different angle where you can go, oh, right, perfect. I know exactly how I'm going to get it. And the where are they? The two go hand in hand together. One of the things to think about with your audience is, who do they trust? So who can you borrow credibility from? Everybody is already dipped in many different communities, many different areas, social groups, that kind of thing. So who are the people that your audience could trust, that you could partner up with in some way in order to, as I say, borrow some of their credibility? Now, this isn't slimy, this isn't smarmy, you've got to exchange things. So I'm here chatting to you because I want to talk to freelancers like you, and Design Buddies is an organization that helps freelancers. So it's a symbiotic relationship in which everybody benefits. So this is the kind of thing, exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. When you're looking at your audience, this is the top bit. List 5 channels that you can get them on. Because if you go, all right, I'm looking at middle-aged women, okay, they're on Pinterest, they're on Facebook, they're probably professionals that are on LinkedIn, bam, done. No, like if we can get away from our screens, where else might they be? What kind of groups they go to? Do they have kids? Are their kids interacting at different places? Like where might they go on their lunch breaks? Like these kinds of things. Like really get beyond just social channels that are owned by Facebook. The second part is you. This is your brand personality. So you are your brand, but your whole personality doesn't have to be the whole personality. So who are you? What do you do? The what's so special is super important, because this is the why do we care? This is what I was mentioning to you earlier on. So why should they actually care? Because if they have something that they really care about, but what's special about you doesn't line up with it, then why would they care about what's special about you? It doesn't mean what you're doing isn't special. It just means that, you need to potentially find a different audience. But then looking at how do you interact? So this is, as I say to you, I speak to my clients and I say, it's about making them happy. If you don't write very well, don't create a blog. If you don't like being on camera, don't create a strategy where you're going to have to be on camera. Do things that come naturally to you, that you work really well in, because they're the kind of things that you're going to show up day in, day out and actually deliver for yourself. If you've no need, absolutely zero need to make this difficult for yourself. Like, I've done this many times. I've worked with people who've done this. And I've had, in my early days, I'd create strategies where it's like, I'm going to have a blog. I can write. The writing that I do is pretty decent. It's not something I enjoy. It's not something I'm going to spend lots of time doing. And every blog that I've created has had like 3 posts on it. It's lived on there for like 12 months. And then I've finally gone, actually, you know what? I need to get rid of this. So how do you interact? And then play to your own strengths. And then what can your team do? So your team is currently you, but think beyond just the things that you do day to day. So you don't always have to use just your freelance skill set in order to try and promote yourself. The next step is important. These questions all line up, and you saw that because you're smart. So who are they and who are you? How can you be friends? Like really have that thought. So what is it about you? What is it about them that can actually connect on? You don't love everything about all the people that you spend your time with. Like I have friends that I do certain activities with and only do that activity with, and that's what we connect on. I have zero problem with that. And this is how it can work with you and your clients. So what do they want and what do you do? How can these things align? What do you care about? And what's so special? How can they align? And how the overlap of how you interact and how they interact. You're not always going to be in your own target audience. So you're not always going to have a huge overlap in the how you interact, which is why I'm saying to you, for both of you, think beyond just the basics. Because if you're not in your own target audience, then you're going to have to potentially change some behaviors or go into certain places that you haven't been before. You can still do it in a way that works for you and that you enjoy, but you're going to have to potentially go to a couple of get out of your comfort zone a little bit in order to deliver this for yourself. But you're fine with that. You're a freelancer. You're used to being outside of your comfort zone. So now we're going to have a look at your funnel. Funnels are changing. The way that I use this isn't the traditional way. So as I've got these 3 headspaces for you. So we've got a potential client, I call them headspace 1. You've got your client, their headspace 2, and your happy client, their headspace 3. What you're going to do is, in order to get people to go from the potential client to the client place, is you're going to describe to them what it's like to be a happy client. So if you remember back to the bit of maths that we did that wasn't maths, the dissatisfaction and the vision. So headspace 1, they've got a dissatisfaction that you're going to help them fix. And you're doing it by showing the vision. So the vision is headspace 3. So if we know where they're going to be, what it is that's good about our service, how people benefit from it, like all those kinds of things, then we can easily describe what a happy client is like and what life is like for a happy client. So your funnel is just that, taking someone from a potential client to being a client by describing to them what it's like to be a happy client. And if you look at just at the point where the funnel changes, that's your action. So that's your first step. So this on the left, they're dissatisfied. This situation that you're going to describe to them, that's the vision. And then this action here, that's your first step. So it all lines up. The ways that you can do, the ways you can get them to change their headspace are tell them what it is or find out what it is that they need to know. So this comes from their point of view. They're trying to buy from you. What is it they need to know in order to buy from you? And it's not like, what are you going to tell them? Because that's going to come next. But if you're going to buy your service, what would you like to know? You want the basics, you want the price, you want like how it works, what I get, those kinds of things. Yeah. But also, what's the personality of the person that I'm working with? Like what kind of clients have they worked with before? Do they have any experience of doing this kind of thing? Like from their point of view, think about it, put your empathy on, think about it and decide, create a list of information that you need to share with them. Then what do you need to tell them? So this is the needs, the real basics, the nuts and bolts of how you do it. On top of that is the what do you want to tell them? So this is more of the personality stuff, the way that you do it, that nobody else can do it. Why you? If there's all this field of freelancers, I'm not sure how many folk we've got here, but there's plenty of us. And if all of us were competing, why would it be any one of us? And this is the stuff that you want to tell. And then the vibes. People don't work with robots, they work with people. People buy people, Somebody who does a not so good job can still get the job, even though they're not as good because of the kind of person that they are. Because somebody likes them, somebody takes a chance on them, somebody goes, yeah, they're fine, just pay for it, it'll be decent, don't worry about it. So answering these questions is a good starting point to see how you can change them from your headspace 1 into your headspace 2. So this is what you're aiming at. What's that life going to be like for them? Your where to play, this, as I've said, is your channels. So when you're knowing all the different information that you're wanting to tell them, and you've got your list of 5 places that they might be, you've got the places that you might want to interact with them, where they overlap and where you can best show off your skills in the way that you want to show them off, be that in person, be that in video, be that through, as I said, writing blogs, or I don't know, dance seems to be the thing on Instagram and TikTok now, then you can decide that for yourself. We're going to do a little tangent, and I can't really see many of you. I've only got 5 of you on my screen, but do you have a pet? You don't have to answer. I'll assume that some of you do. I have a pet. His name is Vito. He's currently, he just woke up, and he's the cutest. He is my favorite cat in the world. He is absolutely perfect, but he is not different from others. He follows the 4 legs, furry, wakes me up in the middle of the night, throws up on my carpet, stereotype of being a cat. But despite that, despite him just being a cat, he's a tabby as well. He's not even interesting to look at. He's beautiful and I love him so much. This is what you have to think of us like, because we're all designers, yeah, but we're selling the same thing. But if you go to any park, you see people, this French, I don't know if it's the same thing all over the world, but there's a French poodle thing going on, not French poodle, French bulldog thing going on in Europe at the minute, where everyone's buying French bulldogs. And they all look the same, but everyone buys them, and nobody complains that their French bulldog is the same as every other French bulldog, because they see them for their own uniqueness and for the beauty that they have themselves. And this is what we have to think about for us. We don't have to be original. Our ideas don't have to blow everything out of the water. Like I grew up listening to emo music. It's all the same. It's all about how our parents don't understand us and how life's so difficult. And it's amazing. I love it all. I listen to different stuff now. I listen to techno now, and people would tell me that, oh, that sounds the same, but they're wrong. But this is what I'm trying to tell you. You don't have to be original, because people aren't after originality. What they're after is a way that they're after authenticity. So if you're creating a marketing plan that isn't like completely different from everyone else's, if you're creating stuff that doesn't look completely different from everybody else's, if you're taking an approach that's not, completely revolutionary, that isn't a problem. What you have to do is do it in the way that is you, because nobody else can do it like you. Nobody else throws up on the carpet like Vito. Nobody else keeps me awake in the middle of the night just by walking on my head like Vito. Nobody else. And I wouldn't want anyone else to do it, because he's perfect. And this is the kind of thing that your clients will see in you, is that you'll do it in the way that works for you, that connects with them, then they'll buy from you. And once you deliver your service well the first time, then they're going to come back and buy from you again. So don't be original, be yourself. Now let's talk tactics. And I'm going to be brief because we're nearly at time. Tactics are the what, when, how often, and your call to action. So what do you do? How often do you do it? When do you do it? And your needs lists. So this is, once you know where your channel is, who your audience is, what's unique about the way that you approach it, how you want to talk about your work, like these kinds of things. Then you take all of that and you put it together into, okay, well, I'm going to use this channel, I'm going to post this often, I'm going to talk about these things, and I'm going to try and get in touch with people in these different ways. Like the tactics are just the way that you're delivering on this strategy. But what you want to be doing with these is measure them. So do them in a way that you can see the kind of reaction that you're going to get. If you are using social media for your stuff, or you're using like emails, this kind of thing, then you're going to get lots of feedback from your analytics anyway. If you're doing stuff where it's in person, think about the amount of time that you're investing into them. Excuse me. If you're going to go to like networking events, think of how much time that you're actually going to put into this and what you're going to get from it. But remember what I said to you at the start. All these tactics aren't your strategy. They're the way of delivering your strategy. And if a tactic doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. You know, you can change it, you can adjust it, you can try it again. One of the best bits of advice that I ever got was when I'd been freelancing a couple of years, and I was really starting to become reluctant to go out on market because things weren't going the way that I wanted them to. And my coach was like, he told me to think of it as me Inc. So me limited, or me GmbH, depending on where you're watching this from. Like, it's not a judgment on you if a decision you make and a thing you try doesn't work. It's a thing that you tried as part of me incorporated. Me, the business, tried this. That didn't work. That's fine. Because me, the person, isn't affected. Me, the person, just looked at it, made some adjustments to it, tried it again, and got on with my life. And that's, as I say, one of the best bits of advice I got, because it allowed me to depersonalize the things that didn't work out quite so well. Try more things and be more successful in different areas. I brushed over tactics because that's the delivery. I trust you know the delivery part, because lots of people that I speak to, they've been doing lots of the delivery. What they didn't have in place was the strategy. But the last thing to say on all of it is this isn't a straight line. All of these things, even though that image looks like a straight line, all of these images, all these things are connected. If you change your audience, then your channels change, your tactics changes, your funnel changes. Well, like what they care about changes, so you have to change the other things. If you change your brand personality, then the way that you talk changes, the kind of areas, the channels that you might use changes, like your style of photography might change. And if you change your goals, then everything else changes. So think about this. When you're if you work through this, it's not linear. That if you change one part of it, then you're going to have to go back and adjust others, because there's no point using the tactics for one audience if they're not there. If you're looking at broadsheet readers and then you change your audience but continue to market in broadsheets, but actually what they're reading is the latest glossy magazines, then your tactics are off. So these things all interact and will change, and changing one changes all the others. So here we are. The number one tip that will make all of your strategies successful is patience. Don't want it now. Take your time, work through it, let these things happen. Yes, I understand we need money and we need money now, but we can have a I need money now like strategy, and then you can have the longer versions, because this stuff takes time, my friends. It takes time. And I mean, no one freelances as a stopgap. We're here. This is our lives. This is what we want to be doing. So plan like this is your life and act like this is your life, and give yourself patience. That's me. I'm done. What's your questions?
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was great. Oh, I see a lot of questions in the chat. We're gonna do a quick group photo. We always do this for every Design Buddies event. So y'all can turn on your camera. It's gonna be really quick, and then we'll hop right into questions. But yes, I feel free to check out our Instagram too. I've been doing some Instagram stories for takeaways and tagging Oral, so that's where you can find his handle as well. It's been also dropped earlier in the chat as well. But yeah, we always do this for every Design Buddies event. We like to do a static group photo first, and then a wave for Instagram stories, because we like to spice things up over at Design Buddies. And yeah, and so I'm gonna count down 5 seconds if y'all want to turn your camera, and then we'll hop right into Q&A afterwards. For the group photo, feel free to like bring your favorite plant with you, bring your buddy. Yeah, we like to really spice things up here, because I feel like, yeah, we just like to be a little bit different here at Design Buddies. kind of like our niche, like just like focusing on how we stand. Exactly. I have Fluffle here with me as well. It's a Fluffle light. It's squishy too. But yeah, I'll count down 5 seconds for us to turn your camera. I will take a couple of photos and choose the one where everybody looks the best in. And yeah, feel free to, oh, I love plants. All right, I'm gonna bring my plant too, my bunny succulent. It's like a lot of bunnies on here. All right, 5, 4, 3, fix my hair, 2, 1, smile, say full. All right, I'm gonna do a wave for Instagram story with my little beautiful plant. All right, ready? My new phone's heavy. Ready, set, wave. Hello, buddies. We just finished an awesome talk about marketing strategies for freelancers, and some of our buddies here with our amazing plants. Here's my plant. Thank you, buddies, for coming. Make sure to check the recording on our YouTube channel. All right, cool. I'm gonna post this on our Instagram. And with that, we'll hop into Q&A. And so I will be reading them out loud for our buddies on YouTube as well, and also for our buddies watching the Q&A afterwards. But yeah, feel free to just keep dropping questions in the chat, and I'll try to go in order. And if I missed your question, just drop it again. And so Sucheta, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, asks how to embrace uncertainty as a freelancer.
When I first started out, I joined a couple of networking things, and I went to the people that I thought were most successful, and I asked them, does the fear go away? And to a person, they all said no. I think we have to accept, or we have to realize that everyone's making it up. Like literally everyone in the world, the people that we look up to, the people we think they know what they're talking about, they're making it up as they go along. The people that are putting folk in space, they're making it up as they go along. Like we just do the same. We are not better or worse than anybody else. And I think if we accept that the whole world is made up of people who don't know what they're talking about for the most part, or are just winging it, then it becomes a lot more comfortable. I hope that helped.
That's so true. I have so many stories about this where people like always like say that a lot of people, I feel like a lot of times imposter syndrome comes in when people feel like they seem like so far ahead of you because they're flexing. They're saying it's like in school, like they say like, oh, this test is so easy. I didn't study for it. In reality, they did. They just want to make you seem like not good. Anyways, it's going on a rabbit hole. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go through some questions from Delia. Number one is, how do we define our audience? I feel like this is like pretty open-ended, but I guess the broader question is like, how do you know who your audience is? And maybe you can give some examples.
For sure. So depending on what it is, it starts off with what it is that you're good at. So if you have the thing that you're good at that you can then make money from, then it's about finding people that has the problem that you solve. So rather than starting with who the people are, you start with what the problem is. So if you're a logo designer, then you can look at, well, who is it that actually needs this problem? What is the thing that I'm fixing? Well, they want an icon that's going to represent their organization. So there's new businesses. That's how I started out, is I created a branding package for like 600 quid that had all the things that a person would need starting out. So a logo, a letterhead, an email signature, and a business card. And then what I did is I found places where these folk were and went and spoke to them. So I started off with the thing that I was good at, logo design, the thing that I enjoyed, then found out what their problem was. Well, people often do logo designs, but it's what people then don't know how to do is how to use them. So what is it they need? Well, generally at that time, every business needed a letterhead, a signature, an email signature, and a business card. So if I then create one simple price that they pay, I tell them about it, and then I just churn them out. That's, as I say, what I did, sort of start with the problem and work backwards. I'd love to go more into depth with that, but I think that's without eating all of the time. That's maybe a good starting point.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Next question is, can you explain what you mean by what can you do beyond your skill set? I feel like this kind of adds on to niching, but I was wondering if you had anything else to add for number two.
Sure. So I, okay, I'm using again myself as an example. I come across really well in person. So I'm a graphic designer and I can create nice, pretty things that look great. I can find a branding strategy that's going to get you in front of people. But my best way of presenting myself is by interacting with folk. So when I write emails, can be very blunt. And it comes across as if I'm, not very nice and being a bit mean to somebody. But actually, when I speak to somebody, I'm able to be a lot more nuanced in what it is that I'm going to say and find better ways in order to express myself. So that's what I mean. Find the things that you're not selling, but you are good at that help you present yourself in a way that's different from anybody else. So if you're, I don't know, pulling it out of the top of my head, if you're really good at embroidery, maybe this is something that you do. You bring embroidery into your brand style because it's something that you enjoy, that's something that puts you across, that can differentiate you or others. And if you're then trying to communicate with people from a certain area or people who like a certain thing, then the way that you're displaying yourself in that kind of instance shows you differentiated from anybody else. A better example would have been illustration. If you're an illustrator, then putting yourself across in a way that it helps you enhance how you look, separates you from anybody else, and actually shows you some of your personality as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I also come across sometimes with blunt in messages just because there's so many and better. Yeah.
And when they keep asking the same question, you're just like, okay, let's have a phone call.
yeah, like I can resonate a lot with that. So the next question is, if someone says the word return of investment or ROI, how can we guarantee that we can increase their ROI?
In what way? Sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, if someone says the word ROI, how can we guarantee that we can increase their ROI? I'll post it again in the chat too.
Oh, like if a client says it.
Yeah.
You never can. And this is something that clients don't seem to understand, is that sometimes you're making an investment and you're trying something that might not work. It's about, so in those kinds of instances, this was also a shift I had to make, where I went from just selling pretty pictures to realizing that my projects actually had value beyond them. And then I started recording that kind of stuff. So looking at the kind of, okay, we spent this long, we did this much, and this is the impact of it. I don't like working with ROI people because I think it ignores so much more than what we're trying to do. So if it's if you're creating a website and it's an information website and it's not trying to sell anything, then actually the value, the monetary value of it is really challenging to quantify. You can only really do that if you lay out the path that somebody's going to take in order to get to money. So if the website is part of, okay, well, they get in touch, they come to the website, they found out more information, they then go to a call. But there are so many different moving parts, because in that example of they come to the website, they call us up. If somebody then doesn't have a good closing script for that phone call, then there's nothing your website could have done. Like, you're getting them to come to actually what your job, your website's doing that job. But if the other parts of their business aren't living up to it, then your website isn't going to do anything about it. So to give you something useful rather than just babble, look to shift the focus of the value of what it is that you're selling. So when I've spoke to you about looking at exactly what it is that people get from you, then that's where you have to shift it to. Because if you're a logo designer, what's the ROI on a logo? Like, shut up. The Nike swoosh designed for $45 worth billions. Like, yeah, okay, that happens every now and again. But if you're creating for like a small family-run store, there's no, what is the ROI on that? I don't know. So if you shift the value, I'd say avoid those clients. People that are constantly focused on the money, in my experience, aren't worth working with. And if you choose to work with them, then yeah, shift the value from the money that they're going to get back from it to the actual other parts, the research that you've done to know what the value of your product is or your service is, and talk about those things instead.
Yeah, I love that. There's definitely a lot of other values outside of like ROI that we can get from that too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And to honest, just to be like really, the world shouldn't be about money. And as designers, we have the opportunity to create a new world. And we can, through all the interactions that we have, shift people's mindsets away from the necessity of money. We made it up. We made money up. And the fact that we force each other to work for it is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there too about that statement. Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like there's more to life than money. There's
Yes.
a lot of things you can value. Yeah, I feel like as I was starting out my career, I really focused too much on the money.
Yeah.
But then as I get older, well, not too long in my career, I realized there's so much more to life. Yeah, I'm gonna go to the next question by Ogo. Want to focus on, can you share a story of how you started freelancing and share some of the obstacles that you had about handling them? And I'll get to other questions afterwards too.
Sure. So my first freelance gig, I designed the logo for Scotland's dodgeball team. So I was in, my friend of mine, the guy I went to school with, and I were in Paris busking. And he was telling me, as we were in Paris, he was telling me about how he was on Scotland's dodgeball team. And I was like, oh, well, I'm like graphic designer, I'm graduating soon. He was like, oh, can you do a logo for us? So that was my first like freelance gig. When I went full-time freelance, I'd been working at an agency for about 18 months. And I hated it. So what I did is I found a few clients, just like spoke to people saying I was a graphic designer, gave me some work, built up like 6 months worth of savings, and then quit my job. And then spent the next 6 months realizing, or like thinking, what have I just done? And then quickly trying to find about things like networking groups and meeting other designers and going to like creative things like this, where I could find a community of people to help me support me. What's the second half of the question? Yep. And it says, sure, the hardest obstacles, how you went about handling them.
Yeah.
Realizing that my hardest obstacle for myself was realizing that I didn't know everything, and that just being a designer doesn't mean that people are going to listen to you. And the way I went overcoming this was to start to, so rather than, I used to have arguments with clients and it'd be like, why don't you just like it? Why should you just like, I'm a designer, I'm telling you this is good. And they're like, I don't think it's good, I think it's terrible. They never said terrible. I'm good at like, and what I started to do was set out criteria at the start. Okay, who's the audience? What is it we're trying to achieve? What kind of, give me 3 adjectives to describe the feeling you want from this. And then when they came to feedback and they'd say, I don't like it, I'd say, okay, cool. What was the feeling that you wanted? These 3 adjectives. Does it give that feeling? Yeah, I guess it does. All right, cool. Okay. Is there any one that it doesn't? Well, not quite this one. Okay, we can change that. That's fine. Oh, I don't like it. All right, who's the target audience? All right, it's these people. Are you in the target audience? No. Do you think it would work for the target audience? Yes. So does it matter what you think? No. And honestly, that last question is one of my favorite to ask a difficult client, because you're not telling them it's good. You're not telling them they're wrong. They're telling themselves they're wrong. All you're doing is asking them to repeat the stuff that they've already told you is what they want. So you distance yourself from it. You depersonalize the feedback. You no longer fight with clients, because it's you and them against the solution. It's you and them trying to find the best answer, rather than you saying, I like this, them saying, I like this, and then you're having a clash. Because you don't want to be clashing with people that are paying you, because, you want them to pay you.
Yeah, this is a great negotiation tactic where you get people to talk and really pinpoint and really just like anchor on their problem and just kind of go from that. We make it like super personalized as well. And so
Yeah.
I want to take 3 more questions. There's a lot of great questions in the chat from Ogo and Julia. So do you have a few minutes to kind of go through
Yeah,
them as well?
I got loads of time.
Oh, okay, perfect. And for any of our event moderators, feel free to like hop off if you have to go. Really appreciate it. So the next part of Ogo's question is, have you always worked as a full-time employee? And what would you say is the advantage of being a freelancer, like being your own boss or anything else too?
I'll give you a quick rundown of my career then. My first job was in-house at a hotel that I worked bar in. I was doing like menus and doing stuff for the champagne bar, getting to work with like big alcohol brands. I was there for like a year. I was pretty much my own boss, which was nice. And I chose to wear a suit because it was a nice fancy hotel and that felt good. My first full-time studio job, my only full-time studio job was with an organization that did a lot of stuff for charities. But I left that. This is the one that I left to become freelance. And I was the best qualified designer in the room, where I had the least amount of decision-making power. So I was being told by people who literally didn't know what they were talking about how to improve my work, and I hated that so much. I then freelanced for 4 years, and in under which point I started like a little collective where we would design. It was like designers, social media marketers, like web designers, and we would work with like charities, social enterprises to help them do a lot of their marketing. And then after that, I was asked by a friend to join their company and be the operations director to help them like grow the business. But at that point, I like had a team and I was hiring people and like choosing like brand strategy and marketing strategy and how we'd grow the business. That's a quick rundown. What I've enjoyed most about freelance, which I've been doing now again for 2 years. So it's like we decided it was like a 2-year thing working with my friend. And then now I've been freelance again. And what I enjoy the most is having my free time. I have done the like work every hour of the day, the hustle. And I hate it so much. What I prefer is actually having the time to do the things that I want. So through being a freelancer, then I've been able to do so much more interesting stuff. So I've met interesting clients in weird places who've ended up becoming friends. I have a client who I've been on sailing trips with. We went to, if any of you know, a place called St Kilda. We sailed from the west coast of Scotland to St Kilda. We were on the water for 3 days. Like, check out St Kilda if you don't know it. It's amazing. And this kind of stuff would never have been able to open to me if I'd have been sat in an office being a freelancer. Sat in an office like working like a studio job. But what I never got in a studio was the kind of encouragement I wanted, which is one of the things that's led me into mentoring, because I didn't get this kind of input. I didn't get somebody to help me understand where I was going wrong. I have learned through lots of mistakes and lots of heartache and lots of therapy stuff that I could have learned if I'd have had a good boss. So I appreciate both sides of it. I like where I am. I like the stuff that I do, and I wouldn't force anybody into freelancing, but it gives you freedoms that you never knew you wanted. Yeah, and it gives you a flexibility that you don't have to do just one thing over and over and over again. Like, I've got to meet lots of interesting people, change like the approaches that I've taken to my work, really find out how I want to deliver my work. And it also enabled me to move to Berlin.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I know I haven't like full-time freelance, but I work full-time like the 9 to 5. It's like you're kind of stuck in that, like you have to be working at that time frame. Freelance, you can like work anytime you want to. Yeah, I'm gonna take.
Can I just follow up on that, Grace? You're totally right. Like, the fact that we have to show up and be creative from 9 to 5 is insane. No one's a creative just at the same time. I work really well in the morning, but what I also need is space to actually settle into my day. I know some people who are only creative after it goes dark, and fair enough, this time of year it goes dark really early, but this like 9 to 5 thing it's a relic of the Industrial Revolution. It doesn't work for all of us as creatives. And that's one of the benefits of freelancing. And it should also be, I think, how modern companies try to look forward to like how do we work best? How can how we set up our businesses suit our workers, our freelancers, and everything else, and our clients and our business?
Yeah, definitely agree. Oh, I hear myself echoing a little bit. But yeah, there's two more really great questions, so I'm gonna try to take them both. So Julia asks, how do you manage patience when we live in a capitalistic world where we constantly have to focus on money before our dreams and goals? How can we manage our patience and fear in the process of starting a freelance business?
So if you're starting, if you haven't yet started, get 6 months savings in the bank. Whatever it costs you to live, have 6 months worth of that. And then what you will probably experience, which is what most people experience, is that at month 5, when you realize you don't really have very much, you'll go, and start to do all the things that you've been thinking about. For me, it's about balance. So balancing your money with the things that you actually want. I have a friend of mine, he's a freelance journalist, and he never really earns more than 20 grand a year, but he doesn't need it. Like, he has a press ID that gets him into all the museums that he wants to go to. He doesn't, like, his day-to-day living doesn't cost him very much. The flat that he has, he's lived in for a decade and the rent has never gone up. So he has an income that allows him to do all the things that he needs to do, but then gives him a ton of free time, which is actually what he wants from his life, in order to do all the stuff that life's actually about. And I think we compare ourselves too much. This is one of the things I was saying, to get rid of all these people that are telling you to post on Instagram every day, because the 10K hustle freelance stuff, it's a lie. 120 grand a year is puts you in the top 1% of earners in the West. Like, we don't need to be striving for this. We should be looking at what is it we actually need, and then working out, using that as a baseline for our pricing. So there's a thing, a survival number. So you list all the things that you need to live, your rent, your like food, like the things to have, like the kind of social life that you want, and use that as the base. But add to that the costs of running your business, and then times it by 12, divided by the number of days that you're going to work, and then that's your daily rate. That's the base daily rate, because that means that you can work however many days that you choose to work in a year, and make sure that all your stuff's paid, and then you're making time for the things you actually want. It's about being really conscious about these decisions, rather than just saying, the market rate is this much, therefore that's what I'm going to charge. It's like, yeah, that might be the market rate, but if you could charge a little bit more, be more specific with the kind of people that you're marketing to, and create a more valuable service, then you can work less, earn a little bit more, and still have the life that you want.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like society teaches us that you need money to be quote successful, but at the same time, time is the only resource you never get back. You can always earn more money,
Yes.
but you can't get more time back. And so I love that example how you gave, like, because your friend the journalist can get travel to museums and have more time, like that's also just probably even more valuable than money. So I feel like I really resonate with that. Yeah. Cool. So we're gonna take I always like to ask one more question at the end, but for Courtney's question, do we have a set of questions to ask clients? So I think this is in the context of how do we like basically like great questions you would ask clients to find out more about their problem and like their project, and where to kind of sell your, or where to like really find their pain points in. So questions to ask them.
Yes, I can follow this up, and I can give, so I've got like lists of them that I've got like a marketing process that I work through with clients. I've got like a list of questions, so I can find that, I can send it on to Grace and make sure that that's available, so that then everybody can get a look at it. But really asking them, and how's it going? And how do you feel about that? And what would it be like if, things could change? And if things change, like, what would that change look like? You're asking them how they are, and then they really just open up to you. But yeah, I can definitely send on that. I'll make a note just now and make sure to send that to Grace.
Yeah, I think the main part is just to be personal with them and
yeah.
And yeah, so I'll be sending out everything an email afterwards and also posting a design buddy. So it's going to be in our learning resources channel over in our Discord community. And yeah, I'm going to take one more last question is there any other advice you would like to share with our buddies here today that didn't get to share earlier?
Do your thing. Like, you're all wonderful. We are told by the world that we're not, and we are. We're excellent. So be you. Try as hard as you can not to doubt yourself. Like my best tools, I think, for life are empathy and self-reflection. So if you can have empathy for other people's situations, if you can have empathy for like where they're at, then you can better understand them and you can better interact with them. And if you can have self-reflection, then you can look at who you are and the issues that you have and the way that you cause problems in your own life, and then try and improve them. Like, I think we spend a lot of our life, we spend so much time in our own heads worrying that we're not enough. And I mean, I get it. We're all children at one point. We all learned like various different things that we'd bring into adulthood that we don't really notice. But empathy, self-reflection, and just do your thing. We all love it, right? I'll try not to rant too long. We all love it when people are different. You know, we love the musicians that we like. We love the athletes. We love the whoever, the people that go out there and are just themselves, like unapologetically themselves. Yet when we see it in our own groups, when we see it in each other, we try and pull it down. And, or not all of us, obviously, but as a collective group, that seems to be what happens. There's a thing in Scotland, who do you think you are? Who do they think they are? And that attitude is crap, because we are out here just trying to do our own thing. So nobody actually knows who you are, just you. Everyone else has got a different idea. But if you just do your thing, if you have empathy for other people and you have self-reflection for your own actions and the way you interact with the world, then there's nothing you can't do.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, oh, I hear myself echoing a bit. But yeah, thank you so much. Campfire Co-work says this has been the most helpful freelance session I've come across so far. Thank you so much, Earl. So that's so awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I love the advice because like I feel like oftentimes in society we get stuck into comparing ourselves for others and worrying about like how do other people think of me, and so you kind of lose yourself in that process. So it's really important to be like self-aware, and you live like happier that way too. Like you can't control what other people think of you, but you can control how you want to be, and so just focus on like things inside your control, and that's what helped me a lot. I used to deal with a lot of imposter syndrome, like worrying about what other people think, and then recently I'm just like, why? And then started to become more self-aware too. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I know, thank you so much for going a bit over time. I know there's a lot of great questions asked for our buddy. So I also dropped some more links in the chat. Definitely feel free to connect with each other. Networking sheet, hop into our Discord, connect with Orwell on social media as well. And yeah,
at OrwellMcG.
Yeah, feel free to drop it again in the chat too. But yeah, so yeah, our time has come to a close. I have to prepare for a work meeting because I work a 9 to 5.
You go do your thing. You're wonderful. You're excellent. Go do your thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. This time works well because it's like 8 a.m. So it's like before work. So yeah, all right. There's definitely, if y'all work a 9 to 5, like that's totally okay as well. Like I really enjoy my job because I learned so much about design and working with a team. So there's really no right or wrong way to live your life, but it's also really interesting for me to like hear other perspectives as well. Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna start live streaming on YouTube. So bye YouTube buddies.